adopted 7-year-old stepdaughter and seeking advice to ensure our relationship stays good. Throwaway because not usual content. When I first met my wife, she was a single mom to the cutest daughter I have ever seen. She had left her abusive ex, and her daughter was scared of men. As soon as I met my wife, I knew she was the one for me, and I already knew that I would do anything and everything for her. Slowly I started to gain her daughter's trust, who initially stayed far away from me, and she would let me hold her hand as she crossed the street, sit next to me to watch princess movies, and let me cut up her dinner and help her eat. I still remember the first time she asked me to do something with her like it was yesterday. She asked me to go to the zoo and see the giraffes. I bought us matching stuffed giraffes that day, and she laughs at me now and tells me, "Daddy, you are too old for stuffed animals." Quote. Throughout the years we got closer and closer, and I started to be more of a parent to her and less of a friend. And she started to call me Daddy. I now have 2 younger sons and my wife is pregnant with another daughter. But she will always be my firstborn and the one who made me a dad. Firstborns always have a special place in your heart. I am so proud of her. My wife doesn't think that we need to save every bit of artwork she does at school. But I love it all and keep it all in a box. Today the adoption became official. She has always been mine, but now she is legally mine. I am legally her dad. My daughter has my last name. I hope I do her proud and spend the rest of her life teaching her and loving her mother and siblings. I made this account because I just want to tell everyone that I am now her dad. And I think people who know personally might be a bit annoyed by now. I want to make sure that our relationship stays good and want to avoid the "you're not my dad" in the future. Does anyone have advice? TLDR. Adopted 7-year-old stepdaughter and want to make sure the relationship stays good. 1. Don't ever talk bad about her mother within her earshot. 2. Your actions mean more than what you say. So set the example. Don't just tell her what to do. 3. Don't tell her what not to do. Tell her what to do. For example, don't say "don't throw your coat on the floor." Say "let's hang up our coats when we come in the house." 4. If you praise, give an example to substantiate what she was praised about. Instead of just saying "what a pretty drawing," add "because that sun is so bright." 5. Don't praise her all the time about everything. After a while it loses its sincerity. 6. Tell her you love her often. Tell her mother you love her in your daughter's presence. This is beautiful. Oh goodness. This post is so wholesome that it made my day. You are a wonderful human. That little girl is so lucky to have someone care this much. I hope you know that. I hope you continue this way of thinking and acting, because that's how you achieve the bond you want to preserve. I don't have children, but I am a daughter. Don't be afraid to be goofy. You're never too old for stuffed animals. Don't be afraid to be protective. You're never too old to hold her hand. Don't be afraid to show emotions. You're never too old to feel. Don't be afraid to let her know that you are so very proud of the girl, teenager, and woman she becomes. You're never too old to remind her that she will always be your little girl. Take care. Dear Reddit stranger less than 3, thank you for sharing this wonderful experience. As a stepdad, bonus dad in my eyes, myself, there's still a real possibility as she grows up to prepare yourself for her to say, "You're not my real dad," at some point in your life. My situation is completely different to yours, but having that emotional preparation could save you some heartbreak in the future. That being said, it sounds like you're doing a wonderful job and she's in great hands. Just keep loving her like you do and everything will end up going okay. If you're ever in need, there's a small subreddit called r stepdads that might be able to answer any other specific questions that pops up. Oh, okay. Quietly sobs. Advice. 1. Communication. Especially as she hits her awkward tween years into her teen years too. Be firm yet loving. Hold her accountable, but also remember she is a kid and learning. Even when you punish her, remind her that you love her and her mistakes don't make her less than 3. Personal father-daughter time. Especially as she will be the only non-bio child. While I doubt you treat her differently, it's always good to make sure she gets that special time for. Sometimes give the affirmative. Instead of, don't do this, give the affirmative, please do this instead. 5. Show up often and continuously. Nothing worse than learning your parents cannot be trusted. 6. In the end, you're human. When you make a mistake, apologize. Parents can apologize to their kids when they mess up. Make sure to do that when you make a mistake. You're doing great, Dad. Now I need to cry in the corner. I don't have much advice. Because it sounds to me like you're already doing a damn good job. The fact that she went from staying far away from you to her holding your hand and wanting you to watch princess movies with her says a lot. That cannot be understated. She let you into her world, and that is a very hard thing to do, especially if the parent is the opposite sex. If I had any kind of advice, keep that hunger that drives you to sit with her and watch princess movies. Keep giving her positive reinforcement. Keep just letting her know that you are there for her and genuinely want the best for her. You will never lose her like that. I myself am a biological father of a now 5-year-old girl, and reading your post nearly brought me to tears. You are light years of a better father than most biological fathers. Second piece of advice. Know that you've won that little girl's heart and be proud of it. You are an MVP of a father. The kind of father many people didn't grow up with. Let that character grow with y'all's relationship. It won't always be perfect and there will be some tough times. But as long as you never lose that spark, you'll be fine. This is so sweet. Sparkling heart, sparkling heart, sparkling heart. My heart is so full. Don't worry. She knows you're her dad. I'll just tell you what my dad does. He's always there for me. Always supportive. Someone I can talk to about anything. Also, teenage girls and their moms tend to have some friction. You might be the mediator in this situation. Just be supportive, understanding and kind to both of them. Embrace the fact that there's probably nothing you can do to avoid the "you're not my dad" in the future. Sometimes kids say cruel stuff they don't mean in the heat of the moment. But forgiving them and continuing to love them unconditionally is part of being a parent. OMG, my eyes are tearing up at this. This is just so sweet. I don't have advice that others haven't already given you. But I want to tell you that you seem like a great dad. You became a dad even before the adoption with the amount of love you have for her. You probably don't need any advice, but the fact that you're asking for it shows how much you want to make sure you'll always have a good relationship with her. You sound like a good dad already, but talk to her. Make an effort to learn what she likes and listen to her. It may seem like small things, but to a child that can be their whole world. I think you got this, and congratulations on the adoption. A way to show her that you love her and a way to prove that not all men are bad. This will directly help your relationship with her, as it shows her that you can be trusted and loved. Is to also show your wife that same love, if not more. Let me explain real quick as a psychology student first, and then explain as a girl whose dad isn't her biological dad but adopted me and raised me. As a psychology student, I want to stress that proving yourself to her is not just proven with your actions towards her, but also towards her mother. The reason she doesn't trust men and didn't initially trust you is because the only man she really knew and trusted at the time hurt both her and her mother. She trusts you now because you're kind to her. But to complete that bond, you need to tell your wife you love her. And slow dance with her in the living room in front of your daughter. She has to see with her own eyes that all women should be treated with care and respect. Not just her because she's a kid. Children don't often make the connection that how you treat her applies to others as well. This is because it has been conditioned in her that a man has treated all the girls she knows with disrespect and malice. So as a dad to a little girl who was abused, you have to show her that you're also a husband to a woman who was abused. She needs to be able to associate men with respectful and protective behavior. Since she was so young when it happened, then it should be easier to correct. Or so you would think. But that just applies to behavior. She can change the way she reacts to you based on how you treat her. But her trust and how she views the male population as a whole will take years and years to fix. She needs to see that you are madly in love with your wife and that she is basically your queen and you would die for her. If your daughter sees that undying love you have for your wife and how you hold women up and you're a great man, she will then begin to associate men with a protective and loving fatherly figure. As she should. Using your wife as an example doesn't just help because she's a woman. It also helps because if your wife loves you and trusts you with everything she has and your daughter sees that, then she will finally feel like she can relax if she hasn't already. She will trust no one more than her mother. They've been through it together. So if her mother seems happy with you and carefree, then your daughter will let those past demons go and fully trust you and let you relationship with her truly become a father-daughter relationship. Kids that young do hold a sort of grudge. Except unlike adults, it's not in anger. It's in fear. After something like that. And I know from experience. It can be easy to trust a good man. But very difficult letting go of that feeling that he might possibly hurt me in some way even if on accident. So I have to keep my guard up and mentally prepare to be hurt. Essentially, that's the thought process that we're at right now. She allows herself to trust but not to relax. Now, as a daughter, the best advice I could give: save her paintings. Hang them up in your office. If you can bring her there and ask her where she would like them on the wall. Tell her when people ask about or comment on her paintings. Find daddy-daughter balls, where it's a ball that only dads and their daughters get fancied up for. And attend. I loved those with my dad. I looked forward to it every year. When she paints, paint with her. Tuck her in before bed and tell her to dream silly dreams and tell you about them in the mornings. If you're using a riding lawnmower to mow the lawn, then have her sit on your lap to help, maybe. Let her drive a little bit. Have tea parties with her. Make sure you wear your tiara, heels, tutu, and pink lipstick. Sing silly songs or Disney while dancing in the kitchen. And by dancing I mean wearing tutus and hopping around like a fairy pretending you're talking to other characters. As she gets older, take her out on a monthly date. My dad did Saturday breakfast. He also took me on his motorcycle every year on the first day of school. That was our thing. He always had mini scissors on his keychain to cut my straws down when we went to restaurants. It's the little things and the memories. And she'll remember all of that and remember how much you loved her mother and how you spent your life protecting them and loving them and making sure they had everything. That will mean more to her than who is on her birth certificate. Strive for memories that last a lifetime. I always felt I had a better bond with my dad than I did with my mom. She got pregnant at 15, so I always felt like she had to keep me. When my dad chose to love me, and he worked so damn hard trying to give me the life me and my mom dreamed of. I love both of them. But I always felt like he tried more when he didn't really have to. My parents told me not that long ago that the reason I wore a wedding dress fit for a 3-year-old at their wedding was because my dad said he wasn't marrying my mom. He was marrying us. He had vows for me too. Of course they were different than marriage vows and he wasn't legit marrying me. But he wanted me to know that he wasn't just going to be a stepdad, he had already helped raise me a little and he was going to dedicate his life to both me and my mom. And that I was always going to be the firstborn and be special because I was his first kid. Why ever are you asking for advice? There are a great deal many people in this world who should look to you as an example of what to do, how to be with a stepchild. You genuinely love and respect this child and her mother and you are good both to and for them. There may be a time. Yeah. Teenagers can be hell, my friend. When you clash. But those times are brief. Simply continue regarding and treating her as your own. In other words, just keep doing what you're doing and to her. You will always be daddy. I am so happy for you. As far as advice goes, I think you are already doing everything right. I think the only way she would ever say, "You aren't my dad," is if you say, "You aren't my daughter," first. And I can tell from this post that will never happen. Way to go, Dad. Heart. I think that as long as you stay the loving person you are right now, that you will always be okay in your daughter's eyes. Just don't ever become overbearing or authoritarian. That will ruin it in a heartbeat. I think you're on the right path though. Congrats, Dad. It's a girl. Congratulations! Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. You're both extremely lucky to have found each other. Always be there for her. My mom married my stepdad when I was 5 years old. I barely saw my bio dad, and when I was 16 years old I decided that I want to have my stepdad's last name. He has always seen me as his daughter. Not by blood but by bond. There is no man in the world I would have wanted as my dad but him. The only thing I sometimes still struggle with is that he is a very private person. And I sometimes don't understand why he is reacting the way he is. I think this has to do with him having different genes. It's easier for me to understand my mom because I recognize myself when I talk with her. Your daughter will be fine. Heart, and you're a good father. Sounds like you're doing an amazing job already. Keep it up. Congrats on the baby on the way too. Our wholesome stories. Man, have you ever heard of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Because it looks like you're absolutely killing it in the dad department. This reads like you have been her daddy for a long time before making it official. You developed a good, organic relationship with her. Didn't pressure her in any way. Just spent time with her. And she started calling you daddy on her own. In paper and in your heart. You are your stepdaughter's dad. In her heart. You are your stepdaughter's dad. And if she tries to pull the, "You're not my real dad," in her teenage years, when she's hormonal and mad at you, and wants to hurt you, you can always say, "I've always been and will be your dad and I love you. Let me know when you are feeling better. And we'll talk this out." Go forth and be awesome to your stepdaughter and your other children.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.